Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Adventure 14 here. So basically, long intro was due to, I'm just kind of setting an atmosphere so you guys know what to expect. So basically, this will be a series of videos about my life. You can kind of, I would say it's almost like a guide thing. Like I've been through some stuff and younger audiences might be able to go like, oh, he did that stupid thing, I shouldn't do that. You know? So, I guess that's kind of what this is, but also just like a storytelling thing, and I get to, share some of the parts of my life that, you wouldn't normally get to hear about in a video, because, like, how do you start that conversation? Oh, wow, this is a good Minecraft world. Speaking of, did you know that I had a concussion when I was younger? I didn't really. I'm just using that as an example. I had no well, I technically think I had a concussion, but, like, not a serious one, and I went to sleep that night and didn't wake up with a stutter or anything. So I guess I'm fine. All right, so the story I want to tell today is how I met Isaac P37. All these stories that are like this whole series will be something that heavily impacted my life, and I'd say this pretty much did. So we'll start with this one. So it was the year, I believe it was 2011, I think it was 2011, from what I can put together in my timeline, because there's actually a lot of research that went into this, because I didn't keep track of years. I have a very good memory, but I'm also bad with numbers, so that doesn't go well for remembering years for this sort of thing. So it was the year 2011, as far as I know. Well, it was like early summer. It was a little while after my birthday. Maybe it was like April, and it was still kind of coldish that year. It was like a spring thing, early April. So early April, at some point in 2011, I ran into Isaac P37 at a YMCA. So this YMCA, I was there in the first place because my mom, I had complained that I no longer have any friends. I would say no longer. I'll tell the other story some other time on what happened, but so basically, I had no friends around, and I was pretty depressed about it because I'm a fairly social, outgoing person, and that really messed me up. So the fact that I had no friends around, that was not good for me. So my mom kind of, she kept her eye out and tried to get me to some sort of social event to try to make things, better. And she came across this whole thing with a called a gym and swim. I don't know if you've ever been to something like that. They have events like that all the time. But this gym and swim, the teacher there was a jerk, I gotta say. Okay, so the gym and swim, basically you would play like floor hockey or something in the gym or whatever for like, what was it, an hour and a half or something like that? So you'd be in the gym for an hour and then in the pool for half an hour. I think that was the last time I actually went in a pool and thoroughly enjoyed myself. So I haven't been in a pool and thoroughly enjoyed myself since like 2011-ish. I tried to learn to swim before, but I didn't really enjoy that, so we're not going to count that a pool experience at all. So I think that was the last time I was in a pool and like thoroughly enjoyed myself. So I walked in, and none of the kids there would talk to me, right? I think most of them were older than me, and that could have had something to do with it, but I was also kind of a dork, so that could have very well been the problem. So basically, here's the gist. So after I had walked in, I walked around for a little bit, and none of the other kids would talk to me, and there was this one other kid there, and nobody would talk to him either, and he actually looked a decent amount like me. There's actually a picture in which me and him look similar enough that even my own father mixed us up. He's like, which one's which? And I'm like, that one's me. Sorry, I keep turning my head. I'm actually looking at it because that picture is on my wall. The only way my mom was able to tell who was because I always wore a jean jacket at a young age. I still wear a jeans jacket now. So, me and him, we teamed up for floor hockey, and the teacher being the jerk that she was, and she didn't just do this, like, it wasn't like a random thing, like, she's like, you on this team, and you on this team. It wasn't a random thing. She did it on purpose. We were like, hey, can we be on the same team? And she's like, no. You on that team, and you on that team. And, she was all, like, ticked off. But basically, we just totally ignored the whole thing and jumped on the same team anyway, and nobody cared. And one of the other kids wanted to be with their friends, so they just switched up, and it was fine. Also, then the one other game, he just played for our team, even though he's supposed to be on the other team. I don't know. So I was horrible with names. Couldn't remember his for the life of me. I mean, now if you were like, what's his name? I'd be like, Pierce. Pierce is his name, duh. But like, it took me forever because I never really had to learn names. Like, Jacob was the only name that I really had to remember, and then everything else was secondary, right? And my family was easy, right? So I was horrible, absolutely horrible with names, and I actually had to learn to be good with names, because the place I lived before any of this, I met anybody, there were no other kids there, so I never really learned. But anyway, so I had a horrible time trying to remember his name, and his initials, he told me to call him Pib, P-I-B, but I mistook it for Pig, so I'm pretty sure I embarrassed him because I accidentally called him Pig, and some kids laughed at him, and he looked pretty ticked at me, so, it was fun. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names. I offered some things that I could call him. He didn't like any of them, but I did finally remember, after 2 weeks of seeing him at the same event, remember to call him by his name. So it took a little bit. It took a while. So anyway, Isaac P37, Pierce, Isaac P37, use names interchangeably. Anyway, Isaac P37 and myself, basically we just talked back and forth a lot. I have a old picture. I won't include it because I don't think he likes that picture, probably just because he was young. No, okay, I was gonna include it. I was thinking, like, you know what? I'm gonna defy him. I'm gonna add it, but I won't do that. You're welcome, Isaac P37. Yeah, no, it's just an old picture, and he thinks he looks stupid, but, like, he was just a kid, so whatever. Basically, we just did the gym the one day, kind of became sort of friends, went to the pool, and then I think there was, like, 4 or 5 other times that the gym and swim was done before it got canceled or something went wrong. I don't remember what happened exactly. But anyway, Isaac P37 ended up, like, he handed me his number and is like, definitely call me, because you're a cool guy. I'm like, nice. So then I ended up going to his house a couple weeks later. He let me borrow this train set, and I guess the story was that he fully expected me to, like, keep that train set, but he was nice enough to let me borrow it anyway. I didn't, by the way. Like, I didn't keep it. It went back to him. So, just so everybody's clear, like, I didn't steal his stuff, okay? So anyway, he let me borrow this train set, and it was like his favorite thing. That train set was like his whole world. So he let me borrow that for like 2 weeks or something, and like, I don't know why he did it. He's crazy. Could have broken it. I didn't, but I could have. And I don't know where that thing is anymore. Hey, Isaac P37, you watch this. Whatever happened to that train? Odd. Okay, well, anyway, so yeah, I went over to his house a couple more times. He came over to my house, and we became the bestest of friends, and we still know each other, even today. So, it's pretty awesome. So, I want to tell a second story, in this, because I feel like this is going to come out a little bit shorter after editing. Like, it's going to come out to be about 10 minutes or so right now. Like, it'll be about 10 minutes. But, I would like to tell another one. So the next story I'm going to tell is of the story of my 2007 radio. I, for the longest time, thought it was 2009, but I actually tried recording this a couple minutes ago, and some timelines didn't match up. So, like I said before, my timelines aren't so clear sometimes, but I do remember things happening. Like, I know when things happen, and I have good solid memories of them, I just don't know what year. Let me tell you this story. This one's a little more serious and kind of sadder than the other ones. It's just kind of about loss and like what... It's about nostalgia and loss and kind of not knowing what you have until it's gone. So, it was a couple months ago. I was out in the kitchen with my dad. We were finishing up dinner, and we were just kind of hanging out and talking, shooting the breeze. And we smelled burning. And it was a hot, plasticky smell. So we're looking all over the house, and I managed to track the smell to my room. And I freaked out because there's a bundle of wires. It's actually directly to my right now. I can't help the bundle of wires. It's all my recording equipment and my lights and all that. so I really can't help it. But I smelled a hot burning plastic, so I started looking through the cords frantically, trying to find out what was burning. I was smelling the vents of my computer, I was checking my monitors and all that, and then my radio made this noise. And I looked at it and it was on like normal, and I couldn't figure out exactly what just happened. And then I heard the noise again, and it turned off. And I looked at it and I couldn't figure out what was happening. I thought maybe it was partially unplugged. So I checked and it wasn't, and then it made the same noise and turned off again. And then it made a sharp buzzing noise and it turned back on. And then some smoke came out of it, and it tried to burn my house down. So I quickly unplugged it, took it out into my kitchen, and undid the bottom screws of the screwdriver and took the thing apart. I took the bottom piece off and opened up the circuit board and found that part of the circuit board had been melted, and some of the circuits had been destroyed, so there was definitely no saving it. One of the circuits was still intact, and I assumed that was a major circuit, and that's why it was turning on and off, such as it was, or it was a power surge. But that whole event is why I remembered all this and realized what I had lost over the years. So a setup for this is I've moved houses. As I talked about in the previous story, I moved to the house I'm currently in. I was next door to Jeb 6 for a while, and then I lived in a small village nobody knows about in just the middle of nowhere. I won't tell you where, just know that it's a place that if I said the name, you'd be like, what? Where's that? Like, you'd never know. They have bumper stickers though now, because they're kind of a landmark because of some radio dude. Don't worry about it though. After the burning had been found inside my radio, I put the radio partially back together and disposed of it, as I could not save it. And I went back into my room, hopped on Spotify, and played the song Fireflies quietly while I sat in the dark, and wished that I could go back to simpler time for several hours. I'll explain to you now why I would have done such a thing, why the song Fireflies, why I wish I could go back to a simpler time, and why I was there for that long. So back in the day, sometime in maybe 2008, I had this radio. And it was like 2007 radio, I think. I was pretty sure it was 2009, but things in my storyline aren't matching up, so it's got to be 2007 radio to go along with the 2007 MP3. It was a cool summer night, and I was just lying in my room, and I have the radio up on screen just so you guys can keep track of what it looks like and everything. I'll pop it up whenever you need it. It was a cool night, summer's night, and this dog, Lucky, that I had, loved me, absolutely adored me, and I absolutely adored him. He was just the best dog, except all my other dogs, because all my dogs tie. I absolutely adored this dog, and it would sleep in my bed with me, because it always wanted to be around me. So I would sleep there, and so I was snuggled up to the dog, because again, it was a cold summer night, and my radio was on, and it having been about 2008, there's this song Fireflies. Again, my timeline might not be right, and I'll try to correct it at some point if I find that it's off years-wise. I can check the year of the song, I can check the year of the radio, but I do need to get this recorded, so I don't know if it matters too much the year anyway. So the song Fireflies was new, so it was on constantly. It was like every couple of hours it would come on, and I just remember laying there, and it was just that nice feeling of being under warm covers with a warm dog on a cool night. I could see the fireflies out my window, and I was just, halfway between awake and asleep, and it just seemed so calm and so innocent, and like I had no troubles, and I was just able to fall asleep. And like I said, this is a story of not knowing what you have until it's gone, and sadly, after a time, I lost all that. I didn't know how lucky I was to be in that sort of situation. Basically, how I lost those things was they stopped playing Fireflies on the radio as much, and I was only able to hear it on Spotify very often. The dog, Lucky, he died in very early 2009, I believe. He died. He had been known to have seizures in the past, and he had one, and he didn't come out of it like normal, and he died. I should also mention that I had another dog named Sasha, and she had died right before him, and we think that maybe he just was never the same. The dog Sasha, she died of bone cancer, and Lucky was just kind of never the same after she died, and then he died of a seizure. It was pretty sad, and we lost both of those dogs within like a month of each other, a couple of weeks. It was pretty sad, and that's why I warned you at the beginning of this that this was not going to be as happy as the other story. After that, of course, the song Firefly is not being played much anymore, which is one of the only new songs that I like out there. Like, I don't really like much new music. I'm more into Queen, Bon Jovi, etc., etc. Just old music. That's it. Just old music. So that being the only song that's new that I really liked, it meant a lot to me, and I listened to it throughout my childhood. The house that I was in, I no longer have. I guess the reason that I remember all this now, even though I had forgotten it at one point, was because that radio died. And then I remembered, because for some reason it never struck me that was such an important memory until I had lost everything in it. I want you guys, especially the younger listeners, to just look at your life and realize the things that you have right now, and realize that your life is pretty good the way it is right now, and I hope you can appreciate your life. Thank you for listening. This is kind of a sad way to leave off, just with that whole thing. I'm kind of sorry that I did it almost, but it might be a thing for everybody to just kind of sit back and appreciate what they have. And for that, just that memory, it's almost the simplest thing, but it included a lot of very important stuff to my life, including my dog. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.